had their jobs, and they all knew what to do. Pem was to lead the glistening team, ensuring a blinding sparkle. Inenere's gang had the enviable yet sacrificial task of turning up the heat as the river rushed past. She was proud to be honored with the task of spawning her innards, feeding her millions of eggs as Anashi wandered into her presence. Oh boy and his fellow young were to make sure as much of Inenere's pride ended up in Anashi's mouth, enough to entice her and feed an emptiness she would suddenly find, yet mindful not to choke her. He was to hurl missiles of Inenere's eggs, reaching targets, some deliberately missing, thereby creating the want, feeding the need. Ojashi was to gather the acrobats who would propel themselves out of the deep and tumble down Anashi's back, yet skip off just in time to avoid the contours reaching her rump. That job was a Joe's. Ojashi and his team were not allowed to prick her with their serrated hooks either. That was another job especially reserved for Okao. But the ultimate job no fish dared to want, yet envious of the one fish allowed it, was to knock their queen up close and personal on her chest. This was the most delicate job of all. This one job, the last task as it happened, would determine the success or failure of the entire mission. Epem's glitter, Inenere's sacrifice, and all other missiles and projectiles would come to naught if this one last job went awry. Touch her too soon, and it might just as well be a high-end intelligence wasted on a fool. Touch her too late, and the ship would have set sail anyway. Touch her too gently, and she may easily miss it all in the excitement and raging waters that was going on. A touch too hard, and she may not live to bear witness to it ever again. This was a matter of life and death, and that job belonged to Atuma. Atuma knew only too well that part of the touch was to inflict the right amount of pain. Irieri would have been the right choice, but she easily excited herself about lesser things, and she ran the risk of shocking Anashi to an unplanned watery grave. Atuma had been in Irieri's tutelage, mastering the art of recharging his electrical impulses just so he could discharge some of it on Anashi's left chest. This was the right spot because deeply cushioned behind her delicate breast was Anashi's heart, and the common objective of the entire mission was to entice Anashi into the deep, feeding her appetite for pleasure while strumming her with pain. And the ultimate pain was the electric shock of an angry eel to hit her on the left breast. This shock was to be just enough to pleasure her, but also hurt her in a way she would want more. And when Anashi reached for more pleasure and subsequent pain, they would sweep her out of her depths. The job at hand was no ordinary mission, but it was a simple one. Kidnap Anashi and crown her their queen.